I'm Holly, I'm Product Manager here at Sensat.
Hi, I'm Afrik. I'm also a Product Manager here at Sensat. And today we're going to talk to you about using Sensat for optioneering workflows. So today we're going to talk about using Sensat for optioneering workflows. And Sensat can serve as a really powerful optioneering tool because it enables teams to explore different options for designs in the reality of context. And this means that you can visualize, evaluate, and refine your plans rapidly. So we're already seeing lots of teams using Sensat in early stage planning to spot constraints and really get to their preferred option quickly.
Thank you, Afrik. So Holly, can we dive into our first use case? How can teams use Sensat to map different constraints?
We've had the kind of way that we've done it for, since the beginning of Sensat, which is just through a normal upload flow, which is very manual, but it works really well because we have loads of file types you can upload. But we've started to introduce new ways to try and get rid of that manual step. So you can sync up your CDE. If you've already got lots of contextual data in your CDE, we can set up a sync and it's just automatically pulled across. So if there's a new version of that data, it's already in Sensat. And similar to that, we've recently released WMS web mapping services. So there's loads of data out there. Lots of different teams will have different data. Sensat really just wants to bring all of that together so that all teams on the project can see their data in one place. And it's really easy to see that in a visual way. So having WMS allows you to pull some of that data in. And if it's been updated in any way, it's already in Sensat. It takes out of all of those manual steps and just allows you to really see everything in one place for people that might not have been able to do that before. I think because things are in different softwares, which is kind of always going to be the case because there's lots of technical things that need to be made in those softwares, but by bringing it into Sensat, it brings it all together, and at a high level you can see those different options and help make those decisions. And then the joy of Sensat is that you can then present that to people in a really visual way as well. It has that reality context, which you might not get in some of the more technical systems. So having all those different layers in one place with that reality context can really enable those conversations. And when you're presenting it and telling people why you've made certain decisions, having that visual tool is really, really important. When you come into Sensat, you've already got your reality data all there. You don't need to worry about that. That gives you the context. But then to do your optioneering workflows, you need some of the contextual constraints layers. So I've opened up the uploads panel and you can see there's already some in here. So we've got some environmental constraints, which I've just toggled the visibility of so you can see them appear in your scene. And then you can kind of click on the different parts of that to see what exactly that constraint is. So there you can see that there's ancient woodlands. And then there's also some social constraints, which I've toggled the visibility of, which I can still click on in the same way as before to see some of those attributes there. And really, in your scene, you can see exactly what you're looking at. One of the new features we've released is the web mapping services streaming. So you can click on the uploads flow, you can open that panel up, click on from connected services, and then you can select whether it's WMS, WMTS, copy and paste the URL in, and then select which layer you want to stream across. And then you can select what type, and then you can see that it comes up in your scene and it's also displayed in your panel automatically. And then any update that's made in the GIS software will also be shown in the layer panel.
So you can use our markup tools for a really simple first stage of optioneering, and they're so easy to use and so easy to make that the benefit of them is their simplicity. So a markup is really just an annotation on your map. You can draw it up, and then our new tools, which allow you to duplicate and move options, means that you can move them around and explore different options or various design options on your site. So an example could be that you're looking at where you can place a new asset within a constrained site. They're particularly useful in the early stages of a project. So say during master planning or concept design when you've no 3D models available, but you want to quickly see where the footprint of something could be placed. So in this example, we're looking at where this potential site could be placed within this substation siting area. So as you can see, I've already loaded in all of my constraint data, which is what Holly was talking about earlier. So if I come in and then I click here, you can see that there's an ancient woodland in this area. And then over here again, there's an overhead line. And these are the type of constraints that you're trying to avoid when deciding where this new site could be placed. So I've literally drawn out the site area as a markup. And if I click on it, I can now create a duplicate of the markup. And then I can move this duplicate to anywhere else on site and explore different options of where it could be placed. I can also change the orientation of it if I want. And then I can save the name to be something more meaningful for me. So in this instance, I'm going to label it as option B. And then I can repeat this process multiple times, exploring different options and how it relates to the constraints that I've loaded in.
Thanks, Afric. So for teams who are a bit further down the optioneering process, can you walk me through how teams can use models and move them around their site?
Yeah, so moving models is like the next step on from moving markups. So if you now have models to hand, so designs have been created, or maybe even have some standard models, so this could be things like a model of a crane or some standard building blocks that you generally work with, then it can be really nice to use these for optioneering instead of markups. So one advantage is just greater accuracy. So your designs will have progressed further, so your final dimensions will be more accurate or certain. And also they're taking into account height and elevation, which might be key for you. Another really powerful reason to use models is they're great for stakeholder engagement. So if you're trying to explain to someone why an option is viable or why it's absolutely not viable, then you can use a model, and it's really visually impactful to show your stakeholders the different models in context and why they do or don't work. In this example, I'm just trying to explore where this new site could fit within the substation siting area. So I've marked up my siting area as a markup, and if I zoom in here, you can see it more clearly. I've also loaded in all my constraint data already, which is what Holly was talking about earlier. So what I just showed was an ancient woodland, and then what I've clicked on now is an overhead line. And these are the type of constraints that I'm trying to avoid when exploring where the new site can be placed. So if I click on the markup now, I can open it in the layers manager, then I can create a duplicate of it. And then I can move this duplicate to anywhere else on site and explore another location where it might fit. I can also change the orientation of it, and then I can save the name of it to be something more meaningful to me. So in this instance, I'm just going to keep it as option B. And then I can repeat this process multiple times and explore where in this site where within this siting study area this new site could be placed.
Once you've kind of gone through a lot of these flows, you might not want to do that in like a very, very structured way. But then if you want to present that to different stakeholders or do a public consultation to explain why you've chosen one option over another, you want to do that a bit in a more structured way that's really easy to share. Viewpoints and presentations are a really, really good way to do this. You can take a different viewpoint, a bit like a slide, of every angle and every option and everything you want to explain to different stakeholders, and then collect those into a presentation, and then you can very easily share that. We've actually just released a new presentation video feature, so you can also just download it if you're not going to have any good Wi-Fi or you want it to flow really nicely and make any edits. You can just click record and then you've got that video, and you can share that with stakeholders in kind of any way you want to, but you can also get it up in a presentation or a public consultation. It's quite flexible. So once you've chosen your options and you know you need to present this to someone, be it a stakeholder or a consultation, you will go through and you can create different viewpoints of different options. And to do that, you would just click the viewpoint button on the left toolbar there, and you can see that that then appears in the viewpoints panel. You can give it a name. I'm just going to call it option A for now. And you can do that as many times as you need to create effectively slides, essentially slides of each point that you want to look at in the presentation. And then you can click the checkbox to select different options. You can use the checkbox to select different viewpoints and click on the three-dot menu and click Add to Existing or Create New Presentation. I'm just going to create a new one. And once you've clicked that, it will appear with all the viewpoints you've selected, and you can give it a name. And then once you're happy with that, you can move the viewpoints around, which dictates the order, which you can see on the numbers on the right there. And once you're ready to present, you just click Present, and it will get rid of all of the rest of the UI, so the different toolbars will disappear. And you can use the arrows on your keyboard or click on the different viewpoints in the bottom right-hand corner to go between each different viewpoint. And you can still navigate around when you're in the presentation. You can also hover on any markups that are there, so you can see that that one has an attachment, and you can still open that up within there and navigate around. And then if you can go back and you want to create a video of this to share with stakeholders or get up in a presentation, if you want it all to be as smooth as it possibly can, you can click on the record button there, and then that will download that directly into your desktop.